Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. My name is Honorine, and today I'm with Keturah, who is pursuing a PhD in education. Keturah, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to do this today.
My pleasure. So first, could you tell us more about yourself?
Well, my name is Keturah Young. Again, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm in the Education Policy and Evaluation doctoral program at the College of Education. It's my first year in the doctoral program, so just trekking along so far.
Okay, but you've been at FSU for your master, right?
Yes, and undergrad. So
And undergrad,
I
okay.
did, yeah. Well, part of my undergrad, the first 2 years I did at Florida Atlantic University. Then I transferred, got my BS in English education, did the master's in the same program I'm in now, so ed policy, and then took like a 2-year break, and now I'm back. FSU can't get rid of me.
And so you said you did a master in the same like department. Why did you
Yes.
decide to pursue a PhD?
Well, for me, I actually did research on the Black woman graduate experience during my master's program. And one of like the conclusions I came to was that there weren't enough Black women faculty to serve as representation for Black women graduate students. So I think that definitely kind of helped push me into the direction of pursuing a doctoral degree so that I could re-enter the classroom. And then also I think I would really enjoy faculty life to a certain extent. We'll see, I don't know yet. But since I do have a background in teaching, that is definitely an aspect that I miss. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I attended a talk by a doctoral student in psychology who was studying the Black men experience in doctoral programs. So I think it's fascinating that you do something similar in a different department with a different population. But it's the same idea. Basically, there are not enough representation.
Yeah, there's a lot more research on the Black undergraduate experience, but then when you get to like the graduate experience or even the faculty experience, there isn't as much. So there's definitely a gap in the research, but I've kind of seen that people are starting to fill that gap, especially with, I had the Purpose Fellowship. I was a Purpose Fellow for my master's degree. And after I did my research on the Black woman graduate experience with the next cohort, someone did the faculty experience. So that's exciting to see that people are interested in the research and are willing to fill that gap.
So you said you have a background in teaching. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, so like I said, I got my bachelor's in English education, and I kind of thought that I would teach for a little while before going into a master's program, because my goal kind of was always ed policy, but my perspective was that a lot of people that make the policies for education don't really have like the grassroots experience, or they have the experience and they're just really detached from it, because once you're away from the classroom, you kind of forget what it's like. So I'm like, I want to teach first so I know what types of policies like teachers and students really need from experience. But then I went straight into my master's program. I realized personally that teaching in that environment was not for me. I wanted to teach at Title I schools because I did not have that experience. My own educational experience, I went to magnet college prep schools. So I felt like I could be of better use in those environments, which I was. But at the same time, it was a lot for me emotionally to like process and deal with all the different obstacles that my students dealt with. And it was difficult for me to like leave work at work. And this was just during my teaching internship, which is required to get your teacher education degree. So once I came to that conclusion, I'm like, as much as I would like to teach and have that experience, like it just was not good for my mental health. So that's when I kind of like took a step away from the classroom, which was it was a little sad for me because I really love the students, but I couldn't do it. So I made the quick transition into the master's program.
Would you say that your experience as a teacher really helped your graduate studies right now?
I think it definitely widens like my range, like my scope of interest. So I'm always interested in minoritized populations. And my original interest was obviously K-12, but now it's expanded. So it definitely influences me now for sure, because my program, it sometimes leans away from K-12 a little bit. It kind of leans more into higher ed, and depending on the classes you take, it can include K-12. But for me, it's always like taking like an extra step to look at K-12 sort of happenings or add that aspect into the conversation, just because that is something that is still of interest to me. So yeah, it definitely influences my graduate studies.
Okay. And besides school, do you do anything relaxing? Do you have any passion?
Mostly I hang out with my dog Biscuit.
Oh,
Um,
Biscuit, that's such a cute name.
thank you. I'm really busy, honestly, between work and school. I do take time for myself for sure. Um, I mean, Netflix is a great hobby for me. I really enjoy reality television. I know people say like it's trash, but like it's very nice to like digest something that is pretty low level. Like I don't have to think.
Mhm.
And like I love that. Like reality TV, cartoons, like I can do it like very passively. Um, and I love that. Just like hanging out with my friends, going to see my family in Jacksonville. It's only like 2 hours away. So I'm there like once a month. Um, but I have like recently been thinking about like trying to get a hobby. I'm like, I don't think I have a hobby. Um, I mean, watching television shows is, yeah.
I mean, film
That's,
studies is something
it is.
serious, so
So
you
that
can
it is
see
a
it this way.
hobby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're growing your knowledge in film studies.
I like that.
So you said you're busy with school and work. Where
Mhm.
do you work?
I currently work for the Florida Department of Education. Um,
Ooh,
so yeah, I'm like one of the few people that got a degree and then got a job in my field straight out of college.
ah, that's great. Oh, so you are basically working full time and taking classes on the side?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, full
now
time for both. I'm full-time student and full-time at my job.
how do you manage that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, even in terms of like scheduling, are your classes in education like all of them at night, or is your work flexible with
Mhm.
your studies?
So luckily I have really great supervisors and like they actually encouraged me to get my
Oh,
PhD. One of my direct supervisors, she's in the education doctorate program for ed leadership at FSU. She's
oh.
online. So and then the state too, they'll cover like up to 6 credit hours per semester. So it's kind of like in the culture for people to take courses. And luckily, like my particular unit has just been awesome. And I've been allowed to take a couple courses like during the day. And we also do a little bit of remote work. So it allows me to be like flexible with the hours to make them up. So I only have
Mm.
one class that conflicts with my work schedule. Well, that's not true. Two. One of them is from 3 to 5 on Wednesday. So like I just leave work early.
Okay.
Um, and then on Fridays, every other Friday, I have a class from like 10 to 12 or 10:15 to 12, something like that. And the other classes, they're like 6 o'clock, 6:20. So those don't interfere with anything. So we just basically we made a schedule. I pitched my proposed schedule to my supervisors of when I could make up the time, excuse me. Um, and some days I go in early, some days like I just hop back on my laptop and I make up the time.
So being a full-time, I'm a full-time student. And so I know how busy it gets. And I have a part-time job, and I get busy with that. And
Yeah.
so how do you manage? Like, do you have a routine? Do you block your times? Like for anyone, so some people say, no, I can't go back to school because I'm a full-time, worker. It's not possible. And you are the proof. Yes, it is possible. So give us your secret.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie and say it's easy because it's very hard. For me, I think I've been blessed, honestly. Like I like my coworkers a lot. Like my work environment is great. And I know that's really hard to find for a lot of people. And I did not recognize how valuable that was until like speaking with some of my friends, and they kind of tell me about their work environments. I'm like, ooh, you don't like your boss? Like you guys don't, that's very interesting, because I have such a good relationship with my supervisors and my peers. So I didn't want to leave my position, on top of the fact that like life is expensive, like everything is inflating like out of this world right now. And I like to do things. I like to buy things. My dog needs new outfits, you know. So and on top of that, my particular position, I feel like it's a great position for me.
Mhm.
It's in education, and it contributed to expanding like the scope of my research. So I work with community and state colleges in Florida, and that was something I was never exposed to in my master's program. And so far in my doctoral program, I know we'll talk about it for 1 week in one of my classes, but that's not really an area that we talk about. And that's still post-secondary education. And if my focus is minoritized populations, if you're looking at the population of community and state colleges in Florida, that's a lot of minorities. So I felt that it would just be a good opportunity for me to continue to learn, possibly find more areas of research. And since I did have such flexibility, I'm like, I'll give it a try and like, see how it works. So right now I do homework on Saturdays and Sundays, like half of Sunday, and Saturdays for like 5-6 hours. I take breaks in between. But during the week, I'll do homework like here and there, like if I have time, if I have the energy, the desire, the want. Probably don't, but like small things that, you have those assignments where if it's like a reflection, like I don't have to cite any sources for that. I don't have to do research for that. I can just type that. Things like that I'll do during the week, but things that are more of a heavy lift, I save that for the weekend. I also tried to space out, like if we had the opportunity to choose dates to present, dates to turn in any particular assignments, I space them out over the semester so that they're not all piled into one around midterms, two around the end of the semester, or three all at the same time, because unfortunately that seems to happen. Like no matter what professors do, they could space like all their assignments out all over the place, and it still feels like at least two of my classes I will have huge assignments due at the same time, like the same week.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was great to talk more about the education system in America. I'm not familiar with it much because I didn't grow up in it. So it's always great to learn more about the way it works here. So thank you for sharing your experiences with me and your research. And I wish you good luck with everything.
Thank you. You too. There's my dog right there. That's Biscuit.
Oh, so cute.
That's who I work hard for.
For the nice outfits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.